The story begins with the sound of a ticking clock, not a plastic one, but a vintage Patek Philippe, echoing against the marble floors of a Tribeca penthouse. The narrator describes the morning ritual of Silas and Elena. Silas is a man of precise angles. Every suit is tailored to hide his heartbeat, every smile is calculated for the boardroom. Elena is a world-renowned photographer, a woman who has spent her life looking through a lens, searching for the perfect frame. The narrator describes the smell of expensive espresso and the crisp rustle of the Wall Street Journal. To the outside world, they are the American dream personified, golden, untouchable, and perfectly synchronized. But the narrator points out the invisible cracks. The way Silas avoids Elena's eyes when he says "I love you." The way Elena's camera has lately been focusing on the shadows rather than the light. The audience is invited to wonder. What happens to a kingdom built on sand once the tide begins to turn? Elena is in her darkroom, her sanctuary. The narrator describes the sensory experience, the dim red light, the rhythmic sloshing of chemicals, the metallic scent of silver nitrate. She is developing photos from their 10th anniversary gala. A photo begins to emerge in the tray. It's a candid shot of Silas standing by a mirrored pillar. The narrator describes Elena's breath hitching as she uses a magnifying loupe. In the reflection of a silver champagne bucket, she sees a hand. Not hers. It's the hand of Clara, her own younger sister. The narrator details the anatomy of the betrayal, a specific, intimate interlocking of fingers that doesn't happen by accident. It's a grip that speaks of months, perhaps years, of shared secrets. The narrator describes the physical sensation of Elena's heart turning to ice. The red light of the darkroom no longer feels like art, it feels like a crime scene. For the next 5 minutes, the narrator describes the long game. Elena does not scream. She does not confront. Instead, she becomes a ghost in her own mansion. She watches Silas through the lens of her camera, now a weapon of surveillance. The narrator describes dinner parties where Clara sits across from them, wearing a necklace Silas claimed was a business expense. Elena watches the micro-expressions. The brief, stolen glances, the way their knees touch under the table when they think she is looking at her wine glass. The narrator details Elena's secret moves. She begins to audit the family trust, discovering that Silas has been siphoning millions into an offshore account in Clara's name. Every late night at the office and every business trip to London is now documented with time-stamped photos. The narrator highlights the irony. Silas thinks he is the predator, but he has invited the ultimate observer into his den. The setting is the Metropolitan Museum of Art. A charity gala hosted by Silas and Elena. The narrator describes the opulence, the black ties, the diamonds, the smell of jasmine and vanity. Silas is on stage, under a blinding white spotlight, accepting an award for integrity in leadership. Behind him, a massive screen is meant to show a tribute to his career. Elena stands at the control booth. As Silas begins to speak about legacy, the screen flickers. The narrator describes the collective gasp of the 500 guests. The screen isn't showing a tribute. It's showing the silver bucket photo. It's showing bank statements. It's showing a video of Silas and Clara in the secret apartment. The narrator describes Silas's face, the way his mask of perfection shatters under the harsh light. He isn't a king anymore, he is a specimen under a microscope. Elena walks out of the hall, her footsteps echoing in the absolute silence of his ruin. The story ends at a beach house in the Hamptons. The narrator describes the sound of the Atlantic, vast, cold, and indifferent. Silas is gone, his reputation burned, his accounts frozen. Clara has disappeared into the shame of the headlines. Elena sits on the sand, holding her camera. But for the first time in 20 years, she isn't looking through the viewfinder. The narrator describes her taking the memory card, the evidence of her pain, and dropping it into the ocean. The final reflection. Elena realized that Silas was never the masterpiece she thought he was. He was just a sketch. And now, the frame was finally empty, ready for a story that belonged only to her.